The man continued to hear odd sounds beneath his driveway. See what he discovered within. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. You never know what you're getting into when you purchase a new home. However, when 37-year-old Simon Marks saw a property in Luton, England at an extremely low price, he was powerless to refuse. Its owner was eager to get rid of it, so he never asked why the paperwork was completed so swiftly, and the transfer started right away. Simon joyfully opened his things a few months later. He could not wait to spend his first evening in his new house. He came into bed fatigued after a long weekend of moving his possessions back and forth. With great pleasure, he determined the length of his new, significantly shorter trip to the workplace and set the alarm for 8 in the morning. However, he heard an odd sound as he laid there in the dark. He listened closely, trying not to breathe, and then heard it again. It originated outside. The sound was muffled and dull, like gravel grinding across metal. He stood up, looking curiously out the window at the garden below. However, nothing changed. Silence returned. He shrugged his shoulders and climbed back into bed, little realizing that beneath his new house, something was moving. Simon threw his black Vauxhall Zafira into reverse the following morning, but the vehicle moved forward, not out of his driveway. He attempted again while cursing, but it appeared like the wheels were stuck on something. Stomping. He exhaled a breath of relief and revved the engine till the automobile sprang backward. His stomach fell, though, when he got out to saw what had been lodged beneath the front wheel. Simon noticed that there were cracks in the driveway's pavers as he bent over to get a closer look. And then the driveway started to fall way right in front of his eyes. With a horrible crunch, the pavers shattered and he jumped back. Subsequently, the concrete broke and landed in the ground. But when the dust settled, something very unsettling was exposed by the split in the earth. Simon was aware that the old couple who had lived there before had constructed his house in the 1970s, but this had not been on the property strategies. He rolled onto his tummy and crawled forward, only lifting his weight when he was certain it was safe to do so. He went to get a shovel and started digging after noticing a shimmer in the ground. With ease, the earth gave way, and he quickly noticed a metal fragment protruding from the ground. Using his hands, he unveiled it till he could grasp it. He then tugged as hard as he could, but the corroded chunk of metal remained in place. Simon made the decision to start digging around the enigmatic item in an attempt to remove it from the dirt no matter how hard he pulled. As he dug further and deeper into the piece of metal, he saw that it had a connection. Simon's thoughts raced with images of his car, or worse, his entire house being swallowed by a massive sinkhole, when he had first noticed the black hole opening up. However, upon closer inspection, he realized he was dealing with something considerably more evil when he noticed the glitter of an artificial item beneath. He took out his phone and made a backup call. Gerald, Simon's father, hurried to the scene. Using just hand tools and basic equipment, the two set to work. With extreme caution, they started to chip away at the broken concrete surrounding the metal fragment, exposing a rectangular hole in the earth. There was a rusted ladder that descended into the shadows. They were now starting to feel anxious. Why had the driveway been covered over this concealed passageway? To what end did it lead? To find out, there was only one option. Simon had studied the ancient house well before he bought it. He knew too well that ordnance surveys would reveal nothing about the enigmatic tunnel beneath his driveway. The reports said that before the house was constructed, the area was only vacant property. As they started to dig, he felt a chill run down his spine. They removed the compacted muck in buckets after excavating shovelful after shovelful. The mound of dirt next to them increased in size every hour, and before long, the two had laboriously removed around 5 feet of soil, which was sufficient for them to examine after descending the ladder. What they discovered would help explain the strange history of the home. Simon experienced an odd sensation as he downed the ladder halfway. He had no desire to continue. How could it not be safe? In order to get his selfie stick, he dashed back to the home. He lowered his phone into the hole, making sure it was securely fastened. He could see that 2 rooms were concealed by the underground corridor on the phone screen. Gerald assumed he instantly understood what they were looking at, but they needed to be certain. The land in issue had been utilized for something else long before Simon paid almost $500,000 for it. Constructed there. The previous night, he had heard sounds like the ground finally breaking way beneath the driveway and collapsing into the hidden chamber. Simon and his father ceased their excavation and began independent research. Things rapidly became clear as they looked up the plot number. This piece of land had been vacant before the house's previous owners. Gerald, however, swiftly brought up the fact that the site was located in a key area of the town. The house's construction phase was much more significant. "My dad saw it and instantly said, 'It's an air raid shelter,'" stated Simon. "After searching Google, we discovered that there are many in this region." Simon discovered via his investigation that the shelter was constructed during the Second World War. Its prior owner must have been aware of its presence. He must have filled it in when he constructed the house and added a garden. Simon informed the reporters that in 1938, a man named Sir John Anderson was in charge of getting the nation ready for battle during World Battle II. It was his responsibility to devise a plan to shield the people of Britain from the bombs and the attack that he knew was imminent. So he came up with a brilliant scheme to protect the citizens. Engineers led by Sir John Anderson designed and assisted in the construction of inexpensive, straightforward subterranean shelters that easily hidden in backyards of people. Because of their near proximity, British residents might easily seek refuge at any time. Instead of using concrete for the walls of these structures, lightweight, flexible metal was used. There were more than 2 million of these bomb shelters dispersed across the nation. However, Simon's discovery was not one of these. Rather, Gerald could determine right away that Simon's room was not an Anderson-designed bomb shelter by examining it. Nevertheless, it had been constructed sometime in 1938, following a bombing in the vicinity of Luton. When locals realized that their little city was suddenly a target, they were fearful. They needed to figure out a more secure method. The people in the town banded together and soon came up with a plan to build a community shelter that would be more resilient against airstrikes. Gerald could tell that this was undoubtedly not an Anderson-style shelter that they had discovered. It was made of concrete and bricks, and it contained at least 2 rooms. As Simon and Gerald investigated more of the shelter, they discovered a few peculiar relics. Simon and Gerald discovered a World War II-era newspaper clipping from the Herald in one of the concealed chambers. "Luton Airport, is this the end?" was one of the headlines, while other pieces described the day-to-day activities of the war-torn nation. An uncommon window into British life during the war was provided by this relic. His worries were elsewhere. For fame, he did not dig up his driveway for hours on end. Though not for fame, Simon believed that sharing his discoveries with the world was crucial. He believes he owes it to the rich past of his nation. He wants for this historical moment to live on. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.